Welcome back, Storytimers! Today's read aloud is Dash and Nikki and the Jellybean Game by Anthony Delauney. On a morning that seemed much like every other, a surprise was in store for a sister and brother. Dash and Nikki lay asleep, snuggled up in their beds, unaware of the balloons floating over their heads. The alarm clock rang out, and Nikki sprang to her feet. She rushed over to Dash as he sunk under his sheet. Nikki pulled back his covers and handed him a note. "Look what I found," she said, smiling. "Let's see what they wrote." Before they could open it, their mum called from downstairs. "Breakfast is ready now. I should see children in chairs." Dash darted past Nikki down to the breakfast table, where he found a glass jar with their names on the label. Stacked up inside of the jar, much to Dash's delight, was his favourite treat, Jellybeans! Oh, what a sight! The jar's lid was tightly sealed, so Dash searched for a clue. Nikki hinted that the note might tell them what to do. Dash pulled up his chair and read aloud for all to hear. Nikki stood over his shoulder, grinning ear to ear. "Dear Dash and Nikki, welcome to the Jellybean Game, where you will learn a new lesson with each bean you claim. This morning you will get 10 beans to start off the day, but before you eat them, let us teach you how to play. You can eat all your beans, you do not have to wait. But if after an hour 10 beans sit on your plate, you will get 5 more that hour, and 5 more the next, until dinner time arrives when you will get the rest. You can keep all your jelly beans stacked upon your dish, or share with them with each other, if that is what you wish. If you choose to leave the game and you want to come back, you can try working together to rebuild your stack. Now go have lots of fun. We hope that you will enjoy this game we love to play as a little girl and boy." Dash folded up the note and he thought for a while. "That jar of jelly beans is mine. I want the whole pile." Nikki glared at her big brother. She knew that he too wanted all of those jelly beans, but that would not do. Their mum smiled as she poured some beans out of the jar. She set 10 beans on each plate and then said, "Here you are." Dash and Nikki couldn't sit still. They wanted those sweets, but how could they last an hour without any treats? After only a few minutes, Nikki rolled her eyes. She stood up from her chair and let out 2 heavy sighs. Then she scooped all her jelly beans off of the table and tossed them in her mouth as fast as she was able. Dash stared up at his sister, his mouth hung open wide. He wondered, what was she doing? Had she even tried? Dash pondered for a moment. Then he puffed up his chest. He whispered softly to himself, "I will pass this test." But the jelly beans were tempting, just ready to eat. They looked like tiny ships, his own sweet little fleet. So to stop them from sailing swiftly into his hand, Dash came up with what he knew was a brilliant plan. He went to the kitchen and he grabbed another plate. He set it on top of his beans, and there they would wait. Then he left the room until a full hour had passed, and when he returned, 5 more jelly beans had amassed. Nikki saw Dash's beans. Her smile turned to a frown. She wiped a tear after setting her empty plate down. Dash gave a giant smirk as he picked up his pile. He wanted to win big because that was his style. So he covered his beans and then went outside to play. He asked Nikki to join him, but she cried, "Go away!" 2 hours passed by, and Dash's bean pile grew and grew. He checked on his sister's plate, but he already knew her plate was still empty with no jelly beans in sight. Dash glanced out at Nikki, feeling something wasn't right. So he ran to his sister and looked her in the eyes. "Guess what, Nikki? I know how we can both win this prize." I'll give you 10 beans, he said as he showed her his stack. But when this game ends, I'll ask for 12 jelly beans back. Nikki cheerfully agreed. She danced around with joy. Dash tried to dance with her, but he was a clumsy boy. Nikki learned from her brother and hid her beans from view. Then after another hour, her wish did come true. 5 more jelly beans appeared, 3 yellow and 2 green. They both had such fun counting each and every bean. And so, with each hour Dash and Nikki stayed away, their jelly bean stacks grew into a dazzling display. And when dinner time arrived, the game came to an end. Nikki hugged her big brother as she would a best friend. She handed Dash 12 beans from her jelly bean pile. Thank you for helping me, she said with a smile. They had both won the game and their parents beamed with pride. Their dad walked up with balloons and their mum by his side. She opened the glass jar. It was still filled very high. She poured out the last jelly beans. How fast they did fly. Dash and Nikki thanked their parents for such a fun day. They ate half of their beans and then stored the rest away. And from that day forward, Dash and Nikki came to know that helping one another is the best way to go, and that saving for later can be all sorts of fun when you think of what you'll have when the saving's all done. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.